Hello, good evening. Here, slightly for a change from the entire video series that we have seen the report and the Python codes in Jupyter and PyCharm. We and also, of course, I forgot to mention SAS Enterprise Miner. We have made use of Tableau here just to help us do some data visualization of the qualitative analysis of the stocks. So let us get into the details of how we have done it and what kind of insights were recovered from this particular exercise. So we have the Tableau open over here in front, and uh, in this Tableau, first what we have done is we have called added uh, the CSV data into the data warehouse of the Tableau. So Tableau has got its own data warehouse which you can add using a new data source over here, the button. So we have added the news and the shareholders as you can see over here. So we have added two uh, data sets, external data sets to the data warehouse of Tableau for us to do the qualitative analysis, basically data visualization. First, let us take a look at the shareholding pattern. That why now it will become obvious that why we decided to uh, crawl the data for the shareholders for all the stocks and then put them together, combine them together, all six of them. What is the fun in doing that? So here is the details of it. Shareholders, we put them as dimensions, and the measures are the volume of each shareholder, like number of shares that they hold, they become the measures in this case. You should also try to look at this particular uh, instance as relating it back to the star schema that we had shown in our report, that in the star schema uh, there is a fact table which has got the measures in there. Those measures are the actual values of the entity and the measures that define that entity. So in this case, we can say that the measures are the values over here, the shares that each of the entity holds, and in that fact table you can say entity ID as, or the shareholder, or the bank, or the stock ID against which these values would be stored. And then in the dimensions it will be drilled down into the dimensions. If you want to know that how those total shareholding has been split into what number of dimensions, then those dimensions are the shareholders that you can see. That is how you can drill down. If you were to visualize this in the form of a star schema that was represented in in the report, that is also one way of looking at it. But let us come back to what Tableau has done. So we have specified shareholders as dimensions and the volume of the shares held by each entity as values, and we give those values to the columns as you can see on the x-axis, because this is a transposed plot. For a better visualization, we selected the axis that way, the horizontal style of visualization, just because the size of the data, the matrix of the data uh, was such that we it was better in a horizontal direction than the vertical direction. But nevertheless, the columns still remain same, which is the measure values, and then the rows, which are the dimensions, they become the shareholders over here. So what does this plot have to tell us? This plot has got something interesting to share with us actually. So there are the shareholders holding stocks in particular, holding the positions in particular stock. Like Abar Investment, it holds 591 million shares in RHB. Aberdeen Asset Managers, they hold close to 32 million shares in Public Bank. That is a single stock holding, right? And when it comes to AIA Berhad, which is an insurance company, uh, it holds stock in Takaful, and it also holds stock in RHB Bank. So it holds 11 million shares in Takaful and 31, slightly over 31 million in RHB, which is interesting. An insurance company holding a stock in an insurance company and a bank. And you should also remember that RHB and Takaful in our principal component analysis and in our symbolic aggregate approximation, we had found that both of them they correlate very strongly to each other. So is this a third coincidence that AIA has decided to have holding in both of them? Maybe not. This is maybe a very strategic move on a very sound fundamentals of the analysis that AIA data analysts might have performed, similar to the principal component analysis and the symbolic aggregate approximation that we have performed. And maybe they also have seen, and that's why their holding is in both the stock, which are strongly correlated. Then coming to something else, we have somebody like BlackRock Fund Advisor. They have positions in RHB and PBB, but maybe the BlackRock fund advisors they have not so much insight that AIA has, that the bank stock don't actually correlate with another bank stock, as we found that PPP does not correlate with RHB, right? But they still have positions in both of them. But they would have their own reason why they have it that way. So we leave it over there. We can't conclude it anything from here. Employees Provident Fund over here is the highest cross holder. It has got holding in Tune Protect, Insurance Company, Takaful, Insurance Company, Bank, RHB, RC Capital, and Public Bank. So it has got absolutely holding in everything. So the Employees Provident is a kind of a major investor on Bursa Malaysia, as we can say. And then we go down further and we see similar pattern. Great Eastern Life is again a life insurance company, but they have holding in RHB and PBB. Maybe they have a good reason for doing that. Then we have Kampulan Wang Parsaran, which also has a cross holding in Tune Protect, RHB, RC Capital. Uh, Somebody else also follows the follows the footstep of AIA, which is PNB Parmadalan National Berhad, which has got cross holding in Takaful and RHB, which are correlated. And I think that is the right choice they have decided to make. So basically, what it tells from this qualitative analysis of the cross holding of the shareholders is that principal component analysis and the symbolic aggregate approximation correlation analysis, which was more of a quantitative analysis, also jives with the qualitative analysis. We are seeing similar kind of stories being supported in the qualitative analysis over here. So quickly moving on to the next sheet is, and this is where it becomes obvious where did that all the crawled data go. So the headlines of the news that we crawled, you remember I showed you on the pie chart, they were put inside the news data source in a data warehouse over here, in which we use the dimensions as news and the measure values as the number of times that news have appeared for the last few years. And then we try to do a word count, a text count, or using this Tableau. And the Tableau kind of gives the themes of our last few years related to the 6 stocks that they have that we have selected, and we are trying to analyze and evaluate using various tools. So the major themes are: bank has been in news for all the time, banking, profit is being discussed, RHB is in news for very long time and big amount number of time, Takaful, KLCI, Tune, Protect, public bank, public, that relates to it's although not a public bank completely, but that is how the stocks have been, the words have been picked up over here. Then we see small amount of CIMB, and then Maybank, and uh, many other stocks over there you can see in small numbers, which can be cross-related to the most of the themes that are occurring over here on the work count. What is discussion occurring in the market? So next time, if we want to deepen the analysis and try to find the clusters of the time series with that can do a more detailed analysis with the help of principal components and with the time series symbolic aggregation approximation, sorry, then we should be using those themes that come out here, take those shares, take the time series of that, crawl the time series and put it back into our back end of the entire data mining pipeline that we came up till this point, and then keep refining it till we start getting the clusters of more and more data, more and more stocks that we can start seeing. And lastly, we come to the shareholders that we have tried to visualize, do the qualitative analysis of the shareholding. And as we saw in the first slide over here, this one has got a different function. This one says that EPF is the largest shareholder on Bursa, Consolidated Tay Holdings, which is basically the public bank, major shareholder, is the second largest. Tikyantia, who is who is the sole owner of TA Enterprises, the another one of the largest holder. Now, this information, Abar Investment, Parmadalan National, Barhat, BIM Holdings, OSK Holdings, which are not there in our stock analysis, but what we can do similar to this plot over here of the word cloud is we can make use of this word cloud and go and start crawling the data with regards to these themes over here, and then try to blend them together with the stocks that we have already analyzed and try to refine and see if different kind of patterns emerge, or existing patterns which are there, they still open up the new dimensions that we need to further analyze and evaluate. So this is in a nutshell how you can make use of the qualitative data, text data, or the unstructured data crawled from the website, bring it into the a simple data visualization tool, which is a great tool like Tableau, and then uh, try to split it into different dimensions and measures in rows and columns, and it can start telling you a pattern, whether these patterns that you see here, which has got nothing, no constant, no formulas, no calculus or time series uh, inputs from whatever we have done so far. No inputs have come over here, but this is independently again telling us that whatever we have done in principal component analysis and the time series analysis still holds good, and it is headed in the same direction. This is the third independent verification test that raises the confidence of the entire analysis. Thank you.